Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you guys are new here. Today I wanted to show you guys what it's like traveling during the pandemic COVID-19 right now. I know you guys must be wondering why we're traveling during this time, but we decided to go to Mexico because my husband's best friend is getting married there. They are getting married at the same resort that we got married at last year, so it's really special for us and we really wanted to be there to attend their wedding. And we flew with American Airlines, so I wanted to show you guys what it's like at the airport and what it's like with American Airlines specifically. I know a lot of airlines might differ, but this is just what it was like for us flying with American Airlines. So if you guys would like to see what it was like traveling during the pandemic, then definitely keep on watching. Also, at the very end of the video, I will be giving you guys some tips and recommendations on how to stay safe while traveling. So if you guys would like to see that, then make sure to stay till the very end. So we were up and ready around 3:39 for our flight at 6:15. I had just ordered our Uber driver to come pick us up to bring us to the airport, which is about 20 minutes away. So the Uber driver arrived around 4:10 a.m. and he did get out of his vehicle to pop the back trunk for us so that we could put our suitcases in his trunk, but he didn't actually touch our suitcases, so I'm sure they're all taking the proper precautions. And he did wear his mask and we wore our mask in the vehicle the whole time. I have seen in some YouTube vlogs where Uber drivers would have like a plastic barrier between the back and the front seat, but this was like a totally normal Uber trip. So we arrived at the airport around 4:15 a.m. It was still really early, so there was rarely any people. As you can see, it's pretty empty. We did have to check in person. For some reason, I couldn't check in online, but I would recommend checking in online just because you don't want to really be touching any of the machines or talking to anyone. But we did have to check in our bags. Thankfully, my bag was just like 1 pound over, so we just took out one of my husband's pair of shoes and we were okay. After we checked in, that took about like I'd say 30 minutes. We started to get to our gate, and as you can see, it's still really empty. This was around 4:40 a.m. So it was now around 4:45 a.m. and we found a nice secluded area at our gate to sit to make sure we were social distancing, and other people were really good about that too. As you can see, there's people sitting far apart from each other and they all had their mask on. I did also see security people walking around, skimming around the room, making sure everyone had their mask on. And around 5:20 a.m. it did start to get a little bit more busy, but you can see there's still a lot of open seats. And then around 6 a.m., which I don't have a clip of, it started getting more busy and it was harder for people to social distance. So there was people sitting like across from us and behind us, but everyone had their mask on. Around 6 a.m. we started boarding our plane, and this was pretty normal, but the attendants, they did have their mask on, and I think if you had your ticket on your phone, they asked you to do it yourself, but I think that's pretty normal anyways. So we got on the plane, and right when you get on the plane, the attendants give you like a Ziploc bag of water, like a snack, and then a sanitizing wipe. So that wasn't required, but you could grab it if you wanted to. So we each grabbed a bag, and this is what the wipes looks like. It was a Sani X moisturizing wipe. So we took that and we wiped all of our armrests, our seat belts, our tray tables, anything you would touch. So here I am just wiping down the tray table, all of it, the surface, the sides, everything like that, and then just wiping off my armrests on each side and also the window and like the wall where I would be leaning my head. We also wipe down these air nozzles and all of the buttons, and I do recommend turning on the air just so there's some type of air circulation where you're sitting, so that there's not like stagnant air just like sitting there. And here's just a quick shot of what the plane looked like. It was a full flight, and I don't think American Airlines blocks their seats anymore, so it was a full flight. There's people in front of us, to the side of us, behind us, but everyone kept their mask on most of the time. I don't think I saw anyone without their mask. And here's just a nice shot of the sunrise above the clouds. It was so pretty, and I missed this view so much since obviously we haven't really been traveling, so I hope you guys enjoy this shot. We arrived in Charlotte, North Carolina around 7:20 a.m. and just started to head to our next gate. And this is a shot of what TSA looked like in North Carolina around 7:45 a.m. As you can see, this airport looks a lot more busy just because it is around 7:45 a.m. now compared to when it was around like 4 a.m. in Minneapolis. Everyone did have their mask on and just making their way to their gates. So we got to our gate around 8 a.m. and they were already boarding, so we just went ahead and boarded our plane. Again, right when we got into the plane, one of the attendants gave us a bag of water, wipe, and a snack, and this is what the bag looks like. So as you can see, there's just a little snack bar, the wipe, and then a water bottle. Again, these bags aren't required for you to take, but I do recommend it. It's just a nice little water bottle and for you to kind of sanitize your areas. So here I am again, just wiping down anything that I will be touching, such as the tray table, the TV screen, any of the handles, and my armrest, and the windows, and everything like that. So that wipe is pretty small, so I did pack my own, which I already pre-planned. I bought this from Target and I just used it to wipe the rest of the area, like the wall where I would be leaning my head and also the window and stuff like that. So I do recommend bringing your own sanitizing wipes. And then after we wipe down all the areas, we do go in with hand sanitizer just to make sure there's no germs or anything on our hands. We finally made it to our final destination, which is Cancun, Mexico, around 11:50 a.m. and we just started making our way towards immigration. So it was around 12 p.m. when we got to immigration line, and it was not busy at all compared to last year, which took us about like 45 minutes to get through. So I do recommend you getting your paperwork done all online just to save time as well. And then after immigration, walking towards our baggage claim, I saw this little station with two people in full body suits, and they had like this camera up there, as you can see, on a pole. I think that's like a thermal scanner, but I just thought that was really cool, so I wanted to include this clip for you guys. So it was around 12:20 that we got to baggage claim, and our baggage were already there for us, and you just can see a lot of people are gathering around, so I would just make sure to social distance. We found our transfer company. They took our luggage to the van and they did sanitize our luggage while it was in the van. They gave us each a pump of hand sanitizer before we got into the vehicle, and then we made our way to our resort. So that's the vlogging part of the video. I just wanted to give you guys some tips on how to safely travel, or just what I recommend. So for the seats on the flight, we did pay extra to pick our seats. I had miles through American Airlines, so we decided to use those to pay to pick our seats because we didn't want to risk having to pick our seats as we check in, just in case we don't get to sit together, especially during a time like this where you really don't want to be sitting next to strangers. We thought it would be worth it to use my miles to pay to sit together, which we were able to for all of our flights there and our flights back. I know some of our friends, they weren't able to sit together because they waited until check-in. So if you guys can afford it, I really recommend paying to pick your seats so you can sit next to your spouse or your family members. But if you guys would prefer not to, maybe try to check in early to really try to get any special accommodations for them to change to have you sit next to your spouse or whatever. So that was just kind of our situation there. And then some things that I recommend you guys to pack obviously is sanitary wipes. Even though depending on your airline, they might supply you one. As you can see the video, the wipe was really small and I had to use our own sanitary wipes. So I recommend packing that. And then of course recommend packing hand sanitizer. Just use it every so often just to make sure you are keeping yourself safe. And then also make sure to pack a pen, because especially if you're flying like international or something, you might have to fill out forms and you really don't want to be using strangers' pens, which I did have to do because I obviously forgot to pack a pen, but I had to use a stranger's pen, and you really don't want to be a burden having to ask someone to use their pen. Even if they don't feel comfortable, they might feel bad turning you down. So make sure to pack a pen or a pencil. And then a couple things to do is to check in online if you can, so that you can avoid checking in person, talking to someone, or even like using machines. You really don't want to increase your interactions with anybody or anything. And then I recommend filling out all online forms, like any immigration forms, which that's what we did. We printed them and we had them ready to go at immigration. It saves you time from like having to be at the immigration centers using pens, and again, kind of cross-contamination. And like I stated earlier, I recommend trying to pick your seats if you can do that, if you can pay a little bit extra to pick your seats. And I also do recommend turning on the air in the airplane. Just like in the video where I turned on our air, it's just nice to kind of have like an airflow. Just doesn't feel like it's just stagnant air. It just feels kind of gross, especially with the pandemic and everything. You just kind of want to make sure that there's airflow. Another thing I recommend is, if you can, try to pick really early flights like we did, or really late flights, so that when you get to the airport it won't be as crowded, which means you won't be forced to be near a lot of people. So if you guys can do that, I do recommend it. I would also recommend researching like different airlines to see which airlines are still like doing seat blocks, where some airlines will block all the middle seats and just keep the side seats, but I don't believe American Airlines was doing that anymore. That's why all of their flights were really full. So if that's a really big concern for you, then you can try to be a little bit more picky and pick airlines that do still block some of the seats. And the last little FYI I have is that, particularly with American Airlines, they wouldn't let us have masks that had like little vents on the sides. I'll show a picture here, but my husband just ordered this from Amazon because he thought it looked really cool. But when we were checking in, he had it on, and the attendant told us that we couldn't have like these masks with the vents. So thankfully I brought like a lot of extra masks, so he used one of mine, and that's just something to keep in mind. So make sure you have backup masks, and it's just nice to have backup masks so you can kind of change them out so you're not using like old masks all the time. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have for tips, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and kind of learned how it's like traveling right now at the airports and even with Uber and whatnot. So make sure to take the proper precautions if you're deciding to travel. Stay safe out there. If you guys did enjoy this video and found it helpful, please give it a like. I would really appreciate it. And if you guys are new, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.